talked a good amount of trash on Brunt, and I think with good reason, because we've cut apart several of their boots at this point. The very first boot that needed a lot of work, the more recent boot that we did that is improved, but still had some room to change and grow and hopefully be better. And one of the biggest critiques that I have and a lot of other people have with Brunt is they go so hard on the American branding. We're for you guys, the blue collar bros. I'm one of you, so I make boots for you, except for I'm trying to make as much money off you as humanly possible, and I'm one of you, I swear. It just irritates me. I don't like when brands are targeting the guys that need their boots not as a fashion accessory, but as an actual piece of equipment to do their job. And when they sell them this junk, it's irritating. And so Brunt, to their credit, just released a USA made with globally sourced components boot. And it honestly looks better. It does look better. And I'm curious to see how much of new DNA they baked into this Brunt, or is it more just the same? How is it different than their foreign made boots? How does built in the USA with globally sourced components actually work, and which components do I think are sourced? And is this just another marketing ploy by Brunt, or did Brunt finally make a product that backs their heavy blue collar American branding? So what is this boot? Well, the brand is Brunt. The style is the USA Marin welted soft toe. They weigh 2 pounds even. They retail for a decently steep price of $260, where the Marin is $145, the welted Marin is $185 for the non-US pairs. And these are made in the USA with globally sourced components. And the way that Brunt positions this is engineered with a resolable Goodyear welt construction for additional support and stability. The USA Marin welted is the ultra durable boot built for the most demanding job sites. It comes equipped with slip oil and high heat resistant outsole, a fully waterproof design, and barnyard resistant leather sourced from American steer. The USA Marin is built in the USA with domestic and globally sourced components and delivers next level comfort thanks to our Brunt cushion insoles and an ultra cushion PU midsole. And if you do want a pair of these, check them out via links in my description. The number one surprise success out of all the products we released this year, with the collaborations, with the camera gear, with the boot accessories, all that stuff, the number one surprise was the boot breakers. It's a really simple concept that for some reason nobody really figured out, where these hard heritage boots, if you just have a little 2mm insole, it helps reduce that pain of breaking it in while still being able to compress that leather to the shape of your foot. And these have flown off the shelf. They're hard to keep in stock. We have to keep finding more and more material. And so because of that, we launched the leather boot breakers, which have been just about as successful. So we're releasing the 4mm boot breaker. Same concept as the thin boot breaker, just giving you a little bit more squish, gonna take up a little bit more room, more impact resistance. So if you got a really uncomfortable pair and these are not gonna cut it, throw one of these mattresses in there and you're good to go. And it also allows you to customize your fit. If you're gonna stack these and do like a little combo breaker, do a little thinner leather insole with a thicker foam boot breaker. You can do a thinner foam boot breaker with a big thick daddy piece of leather, because that's the whole concept. It's a little bit of a system, mix and match, try different things, different orientations, and let us know what you guys think, because this is a fun project we've involved you guys in and based a lot of this off of your feedback. So check out the new 4mm foam boot breaker and the leather and the OG foam boot breaker below. So what have they actually done to this to make it the ultra durable work boot that they say it is? Let's start with the leather and look at this. And it honestly, I like this leather a lot. I'm not playing. Brunt didn't slip me a 20. I like this leather. It's got a nice texture to it, and the cross section looks really good. You know, plenty of grain still in there. It's not as thick as it seems. It's only 2mm thick, which is still within that boot thickness range, but it's a good leather. So it has a lot more substance to it. There's a lot more oils worked into it. You can tell it's not as flash tanned as these, where it starts to get kind of brittle and soft. It's clearly tumbled to some degree. That's why you get this pebbly look, and some people are not gonna like that, but I like it. They say it's a waterproof leather and barnyard resistant, and so usually they treat this with certain chemicals that are chemical resistant, like oleic acid, sodium chloride, ammonium hydroxide. We also did the waterproof test, and this leather does absorb water, which makes the leather heavier when you're in wet conditions, and it can get in between that outer leather layer and that lining that is the true waterproofing of this boot and create a lot of weight. But that's nowhere out of the realm of ordinary ways of doing things for boots, because where's the boot I just had? Because the Wolverine was a similar thing, you know, and it's pretty standard across the board with this price range of boots. The puncture test took 97 pounds, so not the most impressive score, but still within range of what you'd want. But the leather's good. You know, I think it's a really good leather, and I really don't have much to critique because I like it. What about the inside? Have they changed anything on the inside? Well, for the most part, it's exactly the same as this other Brunt that we just cut apart recently. That's their more foreign made one. It's the exact same material in the lining. And if we do a quick lighter test on this potential leather up here, let's see what happens, because I don't actually know if it's leather or not. So we'll do it real time. Usually by now it'd be shriveling up and crinkling. So that looks like real leather. So real leather instead of the fabric around the collar, but everything else is the same because it even has that the leather heel counter. And it is just a suede heel counter, but just the fact that it has that alone makes it better than 80% of the linings of boots in this price range. So that's good to see too. And then even one thing that Brunt has like always done really well is their insoles. They make big, squishy, cushy insoles. As far as I've known, they've sent this thinner, like 4mm insole, so you can take up room. You can stack them. You can go with this one or both. And they're big, soft, squishy insoles. They are comfortable. I don't know for sure, but I'm willing to bet that we can probably point out which parts are made not in the US, globally. So we'll see. But one thing that is different from the one that we cut apart is the construction, because this one is still just a cemented construction, and they do have one that's not cemented, that's not made in the US. We just haven't cut it yet, where this is a true Goodyear Welt construction. And it is better, you know, because that's one of the biggest gripes I've had with Brunt is you can literally just tear them apart because they're just glued together. And for like ultra durable work boot, like they're claiming, you basically have to have a traditionally made boot because glue alone is not going to give you the most durable work boot. And so the way that this works differently from that is instead of glue holding all that together, you've got a stitch line that's hidden that sews the upper to the welt, and then you've got this stitch right here that sews the welt down to the midsole. And so you've got 2 points of contact that it would have to fell at both to really have the whole boot fall apart. But more importantly, it's repairable. Because if this happens to a cemented boot, good luck. You can try to put some shoe glue in there, but it's never going to be the same. Versus this, you can repair it yourself. If you're really handy, you can stitch it yourself. You can take it to a cobbler and throw a new outsole on, because the goal with this is for this welt to never be worn through, because that way of rebuilding a boot is way cheaper than a full rebuild, or even honestly, even some of the really high quality boots, it costs more to resole those because it's more involved, it's more nails, it's more leather. And so this is another improvement where I'm like, nice, I like this. This is a good improvement. And even the outsole, you know, it's gotten a little bit luggier, deeper lugs, a little bit more aggressive, and the midsole is really soft, so you're gonna get lots of squish. It's only 35 short A, and it's got all those features we talked about: the oil resistant, slip resistant, non-marking, electrical hazard, and it is a significantly better insole, especially compared to this old one we did. This was just like hard, cheap foam, and there's all these voids here, and it just was garbage. This is better. Is it what they say is like the industry leading outsole? No, not even close. Like there's so many brands that do this, but we're talking more of like, not like, is Brunt on par or above all the other brands? It's more of like, is Brunt at least up to par with the rest of the brands? That's more what this video is about. And that to me is on par with the rest of the brands, including the leather, the welt. So let's cut them in half and find out. All right, we got them cut in half, and if you're not subscribed, consider pushing the subscribe button, or a like, or a comment. Even mean comments help, even the hate comments help. And if you want to help us further, we make some handmade leather goods right here in the shop that I designed. We also have our collaborations with some of the coolest and industry-leading brands, actual industry-leading brands in the world. So check those out below and give us a little subscribe. Now, let's see what's inside. So, how's it look? Not bad. It is a true Goodyear welt. I was a little bit like, we'll see. They say it's Goodyear welt, but I wouldn't be surprised. So it is a true Goodyear welt. You can see that gemming underneath and how the stitch goes through there, and that stitch connects to the midsole, which connects to the outsole. Pretty weak shank. You know, that's exactly the same shank that we saw in this one. You know, it's exact same length, exact same structure, but there are some differences between this one that we just recently cut apart versus the welted version. And most of it comes down to that different style of construction. Instead of having this higher quality, more rigid Texon fiberboard, the USA Brunt, you got more of like a sneaker material. It's a little bit more flexible. It's got a little more give. It's not gonna be as durable, but it's gonna break in faster. And I would still say this is a higher quality material and a better choice for this style of production. It's not like the Sorel where they use actual sneaker material. It's kind of in between. It's not as good as like the rest of the boots in the market this price range, but it's not as bad as some of the worst ones. It's just like, it's okay. The bigger concern for me though is you can see that there's a spot where the cheaper fiberboard that's mostly white stops and then there's that little pad of squish right there. It will give you more comfort, but also if you really start wearing these, I wouldn't necessarily trust it that you wouldn't eventually just have this really weird low spot and like a lumpiness in there, or it could potentially crack and split. It's not terrible, but it's clearly not designed for durability and longevity and quality materials. It's more optimized for comfort, price savings, and scalability. And then obviously you can see the filling material is foam, which honestly, once again, is not too crazy. Carolinas have foam. The boots in this price range that use foam, because cork has its own inherent flaws, but most people rather have cork. So overall, honestly, not bad. Not necessarily good, but not bad at all. I was expecting a lot worse. So how is this different from their foreign made boots? Well, we don't know for sure because we don't have one of their foreign made welted boots. All we have is their cemented boot. But to me, it looks pretty clear that the uppers, including the lining and the outer leather, is made and manufactured in a different country, and they ship it here to the US with the insole and all this combined. And I also think they make the outsole and the midsole overseas and ship it to the US. And so I think the only thing that Brunt is actually doing on US soil is taking that upper, flipping it upside down, sewing on that welt with the welt machine. Then they sew on the slip sole to that welt right here. And then they just glue the outsole and midsole on. I don't know for sure, but based off of Brunt's history and what they do and the sneaky things they've done in the past, I'd gamble $1,000 on it. And so it is a boot technically made in the USA based off of like rules and regulations, but like not to me. I'm like, most of it's not made in the USA. Brunt's not the only ones doing this. I think even Thorogood is the same way. Made domestically with sourced materials. Danner, made in the USA with imported components. So at the end of the day, even the boots that I was comparing it to do the exact same thing. You never know exactly how much is made overseas and what's not. You don't know where they're coming from. You don't know how it's all done. But with Brunt alone, that's my guess, and I'm fairly confident about it. But if I'm wrong, we'll make a redaction and I'll fix it. So then is this just another marketing ploy by Brunt, or do they finally make a product that backs their heavy blue-collared Americana branding? You gotta give it to Brunt. They actually did it. Doesn't matter what technicalities, whatever, it's still made in the USA to some degree. And that was one of the big critiques that everyone has about Brunt, and Brunt went out of the way and they did it because this isn't a bad boot either. It's because that's like kind of the final question is like, is this a good boot or is this a bad boot? It's average. You know, it's not terrible. It's not great, but it's on par. I think you'll be just as happy as any other boot you buy in this price range. There are some better options, but it is at least in the ballpark of what you should expect. And Brunt's only a few years old and they've already gone from here to here. And I think this is a good sign that Brunt isn't all just trying to do cash grabs and try to take the blue collar wallets out of everybody. I think they are actually trying to improve. I think this business does have some of those ideals and ethics that they roll into their branding and marketing. It's just the branding and marketing is so heavy compared to what they actually deliver. And so if as they're backing off that cheesy branding and their quality is coming up, it's starting to become a brand that could command some respect. So let me know what you guys think. What parts do you think are made overseas? What's your opinion on all this? And I think you'll start seeing how many more brands actually do this exact same strategy because we just haven't really covered it much. And now it's a good opportunity to do it. So let me know what you guys think and your experience in Brunt. If you own a pair of these or the regular welted ones. And this is the real value we bring for you guys that are watching this to see which boots to avoid and maybe which ones you could actually depend on and keeping these brands honest, because if nobody's checking them, why would they have any reason to not do this with their boots and fill it full of junk? So thank you guys for all your support. So give us a like and a subscribe. Check out our handmade leather goods we make right here in the shop, and check out our collaborations. We got like 3 really cool collaborations coming out right around the time this video drops. So check all those out below, and thank you guys for all your support.